Welcome everybody back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sin.
I'm N15 PCA.
And on this episode, we're going to be doing our review reaction episode for the Orville episode 3 about a girl. And basically, the basic concept of this episode is Bortus has a child and everyone's happy. Oh, baby, great stuff.
Yeah.
But his child happens to be female, which isn't a problem. But in his race, they are all male. So you're thinking, well, how the heck did he have a daughter? So I guess it happens every so often. And when that does happen, they do basically a sex change on a baby to make it male to conform to society. Yeah. And then that is the framework. Is that the right thing to do? Is that, can we put our values as humans onto another race, the Moclan race? Who are we to like come in and just say, you have to do things our way? This is a super controversial topic. And this is an episode 3 of a brand new show.
Yeah.
They just came out with a
big one, yeah.
It's huge.
Of different ways of looking at it. They make it very ambiguous in which way you should come down on the issue. They're just presenting the arguments. Here they are. Look at them, and you could take them from all different directions.
You can literally make allegories of this concept. Can attach to so many different things that are happening in our world today. Yeah. You can even make this about abortion. You can make this about sex change in general. Big government. You can make this about, big government telling you have to perform a medical procedure if you don't even like it. Yeah. It can be about immunizations, about parents' choice, about do you do something to your child? And technically they had no choice in the matter. Well, shouldn't they make that choice? There's so many different ways you can take this.
The one thing I want to also say, I'll make one distinction. This is not Star Trek with the Federation in that once you join a Federation society, for the most part, you have to follow their rules, for the most part, from human standards. As you sign up for, apparently, these Moclans are part of the Union, but yet they still have a preset of laws that aren't governed by the Federation at all. I mean, their Federation, the Union, I should say.
It's so strange because we don't know how, we don't know if there's a prime directive or if there's a...
Yeah, they never said.
Yeah, like a certain Union Federation code that says X, Y, and Z. But again, every race is going to be so different. They're going to have all different kinds of ways of thinking and feeling and religious beliefs, societal beliefs. It's just so much stuff that just comes at you.
Yeah, and they even said earlier that it's only once out of every 75 years that a female is born, so it's super rare.
Yeah, and then when it happens, it'd be just like, oh, your son was, sometimes a kid might be born with like an extra finger and they just lob it off. Yeah. And it's not a big deal. But to us, when we think, oh, you're going to change a baby's sex, I think it's almost sickening to most people would see that and think, oh my goodness, you're going to perform this procedure on a baby? But to them, it's nothing.
Yeah, it's well, what's the big deal?
Yeah, they're like, well, what's the big deal? Why is everyone freaking out? There's literally cutting your hair, or it's so simplistic.
Yeah, and I thought one thing when it was his ex Kelly and the captain, right?
Mercer?
Mercer. Sorry, I almost forgot for a minute. I'm still remembering his name. Sorry about that. We're talking about, well, what if a person was born with 3 legs, and we cut the one leg off to have 2 legs, but some aliens have 3 legs, that would be appalled to them.
To them.
Yeah, so I mean, you could look at it from that perspective.
And it's so strange because it's this, when it comes to babies, especially, I don't know, any normal, warm-blooded human being wants to protect a baby. I mean, come on, it's there. It's looking at you and you're like, sorry, little baby, you were born wrong, so I got to fix you. Yeah, that's so crazy to a human, but to a Moclan that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And at the beginning of the episode, he wanted the human doctor to perform the procedure.
Yeah, he goes to Dr. Finn.
And he says, oh, anyway, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's against my ethics.
She was like insulted by it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So then he's like, okay. So basically after that, Bortus, leaves the doctor, and he wants to talk to the captain. The captain's in a holodeck program.
Yeah, that's a funny little scene, but the episo's so heavy, it's almost forgettable.
Yeah, it's almost forgettable. It's funny. I like it, but it's still stupid.
Yeah, it's like an old spaghetti western.
They're going to try to beat the friggin' guy coming in. He wants to take over the town, and they have to beat him. It's all that kind of thing. But that's not important. He goes in there to get the captain, Mercer. Yeah, and then they're going to discuss it. Mercer's like, and you have to force her to do this operation. He goes, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to give my doctor an order to perform a procedure that I don't even agree with.
Yeah.
To just for you're on a Union ship, and I'm not going to abide by your people's beliefs. You're an officer on my ship.
Yep.
And then he just takes the next step, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just call my people, and they'll come."
Yeah, they'll come and get him. It's like, oh, great.
He created a confrontation because the Moclans are so ingrained with this belief. Mm-hmm. They were willing to almost attack the Orville to get that baby to perform this procedure.
Yeah, that's how
they didn't outrightly say that that's what they're going to do, but they really alluded.
Close, yeah.
They alluded to that's what we're going to do.
Yep. And then there's even another scene where he ends up going and they have him go in the boxing ring. Like, there's also another.
Oh, see, they're trying to show him that females can be strong.
So they use Katana, who she's really strong because of her race. If you watch previous episodes, is like heavy gravity. So when they're in the normal gravity, they're like super strong.
Yeah, she's like insanely strong.
Yeah.
So like she kind of like they kind of start fighting and going around the ring, and then she actually knocks him like literally out of the ring.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a dumb argument if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. But they're just trying to get him. It's a physical thing. It's a visual thing to get him to think about it.
Just to think about it a little bit more.
But then that really didn't affect him. So him and his partner were basically,
Caitlin,
yeah, they were basically on board for this.
And they're in the thing, and he starts thinking about it, and he's like, well, because it'd be crazy. He'd be like trying to tell a human being something you believed your whole entire life, and then these other people are trying to tell you you're wrong, but you're like, that's my culture, that's my people. How'd stop interfering with me and my child? And when it comes between parents and their children, it is very hard to tell a parent, no, you're doing something wrong, do it my way. And that, especially, it's so raw because you can think of things in your own life about that, like, oh, with your parents and stuff like that, and they chose, to homeschool or something like that, and people in society say, oh, that's stupid, you go to a regular school, but that's the parents' decision.
But it was so funny because I thought at the point when he was trying to make the argument, basically, he goes to Mercer and he goes, hey, this is the thing. He goes, well, aren't some kids born with cleft palates? Well, yeah, we can take care of it. Well, yeah. But Mercer looks at it as an insult. Like, how can he even say that?
Yeah, saying someone's gender is like a deformity.
Yeah, but to the Mocklins, that's how they see it.
Yeah, they literally see the female form as a deformity.
Yeah.
You're dooming your child to misery and despair if you let it be a female.
Yeah.
And so they kind of get into this process where, like, then Borda says, I asked for a tribunal. We'll have to go to court and we'll have to put our case out there. And then his partner's like, you do this, you're basically putting your whole family on display, and we're going to be mocked and ridiculed because you want to change your mind.
Yeah. And Bordas at the end, he gets his mind changed before that, though.
Yeah.
The trial.
It's a silly thing, but it makes sense. But it's, I think people put a little too much emphasis on it. But
yeah.
He's basically...
well, we have to explain how he changed
Yeah.
his
So he's in his room and he's feeling bad, and he just got his butt kicked in the boxing ring. And then it's Malloy and the other guy, Lamar.
Lamar, yeah.
They show up like, hey man, we got some beers, let's watch a movie. And like the movie they pick is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like the original claymation one.
Yeah, from the 60s, yeah.
And then he's watching it, and then Bordas is just like enamored by it. Like he's watching the greatest
story. This is a real story. Like this makes it funny.
Yeah, like it's a legend.
Yeah.
And then he's watching, he's like, wait a second, Rudolph was born with this, what was a deformity, and his father tried to make him conform, but if he would have done what his father did, he wouldn't have been able to save Christmas. And then it's like, but it goes to show you that just because you think something's going to turn out bad, you don't know for certain that it will.
Yep.
And that's when I thought of, that can be a whole argument against abortion, because a lot of people have that thing, this family has 10 kids, they live in a poor neighborhood, that kid's going to have a horrible life. You don't know that kid's going to have a horrible life.
Idea.
You, even if the deck is stacked against you, you cannot say for certain that this kid is going to have a horrible life.
Yeah, and transversely, if someone has all the a winning hand, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have a good life either.
Yeah.
See, it all depends.
See, but the Mocklins just believe that it's a 100% for certain. And I guess that's, so when they go to the tribunal, they're trying to argue the fact that you can't tell the future.
No.
You can't definitively prove that if this child stays female, that it will have a horrible life.
Yeah.
And then the whole courtroom scene and the whole planet, it's very Chronos. It's very
a lot
clean
of Klingon. I mean, but even in some ways, they're even more so a battle thing, because at least in Klingon society, women are treated equals in battle. Comrades.
Because everyone can fight.
Everyone can fight. Not in their society. And they also do live round weapons tests everywhere. Like, oh, wow.
I think they were doing that to kind of screw with them.
Yeah, that too.
I think they were like, oh, these people coming to our planet trying to tell us what to do. And I think they were being
because they should have told them, oh, yeah, we forgot to tell you. We just put this in this morning. Like, yeah, you didn't do it.
Yeah, you lying sack of crap.
And they also have a lot of industrial, so it looks like there's a lot of smoke in the air, so you can make it safe for pollution, but they don't harp on it, which I love. They just say it. The doctor Finn makes a reference on it, and then they
let it go. They bludgeon over there. Look at the environment. Look at the environment. Okay, they said one little thing about it. Then
that's fine.
So in very Star Trek fashion, this has happened a million times. Someone on the ship ends up being the lawyer.
Yeah.
And then, Bordas first asked Captain Mercer to do it. And he's like, I don't want to do this. But he remembered that his second in command, Grayson, she took intergalactic law. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, you do it. She doesn't want to do it. But then she's like, you know what? I'm going to do it for this girl. I'm going to fight for her. Yeah. So she ends up being his lawyer. And it goes, there's a back and forth. There's a judge. Mm-hmm. And then they have the planet guy who's arguing for the operation. And then she has to bring up points to argue against it. And then I honestly didn't really like her arguments because she kept bringing up other alien races. Yeah, sure, Katan's strong, but she's a different race. She's
But
not Moclan.
but see, the good thing that made it so good is that the lawyer on the side they actually said, "Hey, wait a minute, they're stronger because of gravity, so it has nothing to do with their being."
Yeah,
a female.
so it's like I thought her arguments were weak. And then she brought up, she got Malloy up there, and he's a moron.
Yeah.
She can show you, like, just because he's male doesn't automatically make him.
Yeah, but, for all they know, he could have been lying, too. They don't know.
Yeah, but they brought up, but again, you swear under court of law, you're going to tell the truth. And it's just funny the fact that, like, basic, human history stuff, and he's just a moron.
Doesn't know Washington, D.C. was the capital.
Yeah, and he's like, the moon? No, the moon wasn't the capital of the earth.
Like even one that was, like, in their timeline,
Doctor.
doctor who cured cancer, he goes, Bill Nye the cancer guy.
Bill Nye the cancer guy.
That was funny.
That's going to be his new, whenever I talk about Bill Nye, it's going to be Bill Nye the cancer guy.
That was stupid.
So they throw in the jokes, and the jokes are still funny.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, they end up, Captain Mercer ends up saying, you know what? I don't know where he got this idea, but he basically got the idea to scan the planet for the female. Mm-hmm. And they find one that's like been living like in the caves and stuff. So they find her and they bring her in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. And they've never, I don't think this race has ever seen an adult female of their own race.
No.
And so they're like, how can you bring this thing in here, this animal? And it's like, geez, can these people be any more horrible to their own race?
Yeah, it's awful.
But then she basically testifies saying, my family kept me up in the caves because they thought I should choose myself, and I wanted to stay female. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I had a happy life. I loved my family. And then they're like, then she brings up, because I guess the Moclan race really, really respects literature and their writers. Mm-hmm. And they bring up
some famous writer. I don't remember the name offhand, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the other lawyer's like, how dare you sully those great words and all that. And she was the author. She just used the pen name. Yeah. And then he's like, no, that can't be. Like, he just couldn't believe it. But that goes to show you that just because you believe in one thing doesn't mean that another... Just because someone's gender doesn't dictate they can't write. No. They can't philosophize about things.
But the one thing I will say, you said her arguments are weak. I also thought the Moclan lawyer, prosecutor's arguments something weak when he talked about how like Boris and his maid went the first date and all that. Well, you could go on a first date with a female like that. I don't see what difference.
Oh, but she would be so mocked and so ridiculed that she wouldn't be able to go on a date.
But see, that's just a patriarchally stereotype.
Yeah, and that's another funny thing but he knows his crowd, so he's talking to a Moclan jurors and things. So of course he's going to use those arguments are going to work for his case. Human arguments aren't necessarily going to work on another race because they didn't live our lives.
Yeah.
And you brought it in again when you brought up his arguments, and you can make after watching this episode, you can come to so many different conclusions.
Oh my goodness!
You can be, and again, spoilers since we are reviewing the episode. They do their very best. It goes to tribunal. They go and negotiate it. Then they come out and said, nope, we're giving the baby the sex change.
Yeah. After all that, what can you do? I mean, they did everything they could.
Yeah, and then, and then Bortus goes in there and then they perform the sex change and they give the baby back to him. And he's like, well, no matter what happens, I want to love my child. I will love my son no matter what. And I think that's the main message, is that you should love your children. Yeah. Even if you really, really, really wanted that boy or girl, you love your children.
That's another aspect.
There's so many aspects. And the part that literally kind of made me, I don't want to say I cried, but I got a little sad. And his baby's in the carriage and he gives him a little Rudolph little toy. I'm like, that is so cute and it's so sad. And it's such a good episode. Man, what a great episode.
You can just go on and on. I mean, now we can talk about different aspects of it. Like,
we could cut this episode up and say, and this is what makes sci-fi so wonderful. You can have 50 people. Right. 50 people watch this episode. I guarantee you'd probably get about 40 different opinions.
Yeah.
Because you can say, oh, look, it's a patriarchal society. Look how terrible they are. The Moclans were the bad guys in this situation. Mm-hmm. Or you can see someone like, well, that's their race and their people. Who are we to oppose human values on an alien race?
What I loved about it is the Union didn't accept any of it, but they had to tolerate it because that was their decision. Yeah. But we're not going to put ourselves to that level, but that's their society. And at the end, they decided, they ruled against
they went by their rules.
And what can you do? That's it. I mean, so when you look at it from that point of view, that you can look at it from that aspect.
And I really, the way...
The convictions?
I think also one of the main aspects is big government.
Yeah.
When the government rules everything, if the government tells you, hey, your baby has to do X, Y, and Z, what are you supposed to do when everyone's against you?
There's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, there's no recourse. You lose some of your rights as a parent. Because if the government can literally say, oh, I got to change the sex of your baby, what else more can this government push on you?
Again, I don't want to even get any more political, but you can put this to what it comes to, like, healthcare and all that.
Yeah, and, like immunizations and stuff like that. What if a parent chooses to be against it, and then people are like, you're so stupid, you're so dumb, why wouldn't you want to do that? That's how the Moclans are acting about the sex change. Yeah. So deep. And guess what? Is anyone right? Is anyone wrong? I read a couple of comments from, not on our videos, but just going around the internet on Twitter. Oh, the bad guys won in this episode. Well, that's from the Mocklins' perspective. They're the good guys, and the humans are the bad guys coming in to change their culture. So who's to say who's good and who's bad? You just take things as they come, and kind of everything falls in the middle a little bit.
Yeah, you can't. There's just no way to look at it. But that's like you said.
That's great
That's
sci-fi.
up to you. Yeah. See, people don't understand. And if any doubt from the second episode should have proved this wasn't just a comedy, this one totally obliterates it. There is no doubt about this is drama first. This is drama, sci-fi, storytelling at its finest.
Yeah, and then
I'm sorry.
you have the relationship issues because you end up finding out that Bortus's mate, he was born female.
Yeah.
And he didn't find out till later in life. And then he's like, whoa, you never told me? We're supposed to be partners.
But there's a stigma with it, though.
He goes like, I didn't want to lose you. And that's such a, it almost stabs you in the heart because it's like, then Bortus is like, even with this new information, I still love you, but I am upset with you that you withheld something that's a huge revelation.
Yeah.
But that is a very relationship thing. I mean, everyone can probably think of something in a relationship where something comes up and you wish, whoa, you feel like you've been betrayed in a little bit of a way.
Exactly.
And that's so great. That's great sci-fi. It really, truly is. That's great regular drama, not even sci-fi.
I mean, if you were to, I know I don't want to sound like I'm boasting or anything, but this, or trying to just, overstating the fact here, but I would put this as a top 10 Star Trek Next Generation episode. Maybe even top 5.
It's really good.
Amazing.
It is a good, without it being about something super intergalactic. It's not a Borg invading the Alpha Quadrant type.
And this isn't quite what they were saying last week, the sci-fi show of the week, like they said the last week's episode.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mind it, but that was a totally different episode.
It's just so funny that you can just take so much away from this episode, and I think that's what sci-fi is for. It's for everyone to watch it and come to their own conclusions.
Yep.
And they didn't, at the end you see Mercer, and he's just like, well, he has a look in his face like we did what we thought was right. It turned out that we end up losing, but you know what? It doesn't mean that we were the bad guys or we were wrong. We stood up for our own convictions. We tried our best, and sometimes you do lose.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, all the people on the crew of the ship, the one that they didn't have the problem was the android race.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what's the problem? That's their race. There you go, simple.
Like, why do you care what they do with their race?
Yeah.
But human beings, again, when it comes to babies, we have this innate wanting to protect babies, especially little babies that they have no way to protect themselves.
Yep.
So we feel like we have to step in. We have to. It's so.
Exactly.
It's such a I want to say primal instinct to protect a child.
And then, see, this is so funny because everyone would say what you want about McFarlane, what he's done with other shows. On this show, he knows I can't let the SAW PC things take over the show. I got to tell a good story.
And I'm pretty sure he has his own thoughts and feelings.
Oh, that's what I said. Yeah, but he kept it out.
He didn't inject that into his character of Captain Mercer.
No.
It kind of was ambiguous on both sides because Mercer goes back and forth on the issue. Then he starts really thinking about it. Then again, like I said, is it really truly right for me to push my beliefs as a human being onto another race? I mean, you can even make the parallels with like religious practices and stuff. So it's so. Yeah. I mean, it's a great episode. Oh man, it was a great episode.
Layer after layer of just.
And this episode, our review of this episode, it came out earlier, but I kept thinking about how do I want to go about talking about this episode, and I kept changing my mind because it is such a deep topic.
Yeah.
You can just remove this whole idea out of sci-fi and put it in just a regular drama show, and it works just the same.
But the funny thing is, in our today's climate, could you do that in modern society? No, that's the thing. So sci-fi can tell that story. It's so removed from our society, you could do it, even though it's right in your face. This is the topic, and we're going to go with this story here, this interesting story.
And they still have the jokes, and like there's a little part with the slime guy in the beginning, and it's like a stupid little throwaway thing, but it's just...
Yeah, he likes the nurse. So
he's like hitting on it, but you look like a ball of goose. I don't want to be with you.
I think his name, they actually had his name somewhere. It's a Tip or something like that.
It's in the, I don't think they ever say it in the show, but he does have an actual name, like in the credits or whatever.
So I wonder if that's going to be like a running gag. I know it's not important, but I thought that was funny.
So again, the Orville... It's good. They've yet to have a bad episode.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. I mean,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You can't have good episodes every week, but so far, my goodness, they're just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, you can rewatch this episode multiple times and change your mind 10 different times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good, and that ending, the little Rudolph toy. Oh man, it just really gets to you.
So cute. It's so cute.
Oh, you got to save Santa's presents.
Yeah, and also speaking of jokes, another funny one is like. So, do you have any like quotes from your society? And then
she does like a song.
I'm a survivor. He's like, okay, that's a great,
It's like, oh, that was a great wisdom.
Yeah, it's by 50 different people. Yeah, okay, singers. Okay, it's so stupid.
And it's it's just so cool because we learned more about the Moclan race. Because we just assumed, oh, they're a single gender species. You thought, oh, that's just how they're born.
But now it's way more.
But again, I make the parallels to Kill a Mockingbird because in that book, they lose the trial. Necessarily. But they took them a while to think about it. Yeah. So maybe they changed a couple of minds. Maybe a couple of the jurors or whatever, the tribunal people for the Moclans, maybe it changed their minds just a little bit.
Someone had to be sacrificed to change their minds.
But sometimes you...
Yeah, it's slow,
And it's slow. Change doesn't come right away. Mm-hmm. And maybe, hopefully, in a couple generations, maybe they start turning that corner of like, you know what? Being a woman isn't a deformity. Being a woman isn't lesser than if someone's born as a man.
One thing I'm interested to see is that one female who's a grown-up
what's going to happen with her?
What's happened to her? Because if they let it get down that society that one of their famous writers is a woman, that's going to...
They may just rewrite history and just kill that lady.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
So
that's what I was kind of hoping. And then it was just like, I request asylum. I want to go up on your ship.
I'm going to the Orville right now.
She runs out. I'll be scared.
She runs out of tribunal.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cool. Like the when they're doing the court case, they have like a ball light, and then when the thing goes down over it, it's like the decision's made. So very ceremonial.
Well, that's how the cleanup.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
But it's also funny about that is that the United States with Catan, where she took a shape of their square made into a circle. Yeah. But again, she's just really strong. But that's her arguments that she was using.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't say that's why if I had to say complaints about it, I just think her arguments were. I don't want to say they were childish, but they weren't very good arguments to me. But they did. The broader point of what she was trying to say is you can't just because someone's sex didn't determine anything. Malloy being a man didn't automatically determine that he was going to be smart. Yeah. He's a great pilot, but he's kind of a dummy. And Catan being born a woman didn't automatically determine that she would be weak and feeble. Yeah. So I guess that was the point she was getting at. It just didn't really seem that came across.
It seemed a little elementary. I get what you're saying.
But if that's my only really complaint about this episode.
But that's if you want to nitpick. It's a nitpick.
I think the broader overall aspect of this episode, it was just an amazing.
That's almost
episode.
a 10. It's great. It's a 10. It's great. I mean, you can't say anything.
I want to see this baby grow up too.
Yeah, it's gonna be. See how fast do they grow? See, I'm kind of curious about that. Is it quick? Is it
They have a long lifespan. Yeah. Do they live 200 years? Or do they live 50 years?
Is it like the Ocampa that only lived to be 8-9 years? Or
they Vulcans and they live for,
or they live for 250 years. Who knows?
So wow! Congratulations to the writing staff of the Orville. They did a great job with this episode.
You can't even realize how great it was. It was incredible.
And just kind of poking around, looking at the internet, seeing what people's thoughts, were, and then it's funny because, like I said, every reviewer is getting something different out of this episode.
Well, that's what makes it great.
That's what makes sci-fi wonderful. Yeah. You can't when no one agrees exactly on how this should be taken. That's when you did a good job.
Boy, would I love to see Paramount and some of the higher ups, maybe not so much the people making Star Trek, was seeing it and seeing this episode saying, "Oh my goodness, this could have been ours. This could have been one of our wars." But nope,
easily could have been a great Star Trek
episode. But nope, we didn't want it.
So. Go ahead, guys. Comment. Totally disagree with us.
That's fine.
Think we got a completely different thing away from what you got out of it. We would love to hear.
I'm expecting there could be so many comments. We can make it an hour and a half just on the comments.
Yeah, we could really dissect this episode and go into deeper things. But then we're going to start going into political things, and it gets a lot more deeper than what we even touched on.
And that is usually deep for a normal show. What we're saying.
This is episode 3 of a brand new show with no following.
Nothing. Yeah, it's just incredible.
That's courageous for a writer to say, let's do a controversial topic in episode 3
and not come down one way or the other. Just leave it up to the audience to decide. That's the hardest part.
Yeah,
you come up with a premise, but to let it be executed in that way.
The best Star Trek episodes let the viewer decide for themselves. Was that right? Was that wrong? I bring up the classic episode when Worf got injured, and he basically was going to be paralyzed. Yeah. And to everyone else on the team, like, oh man, you can't be an officer anymore, but you can still live a full life. It's like, no, I want to kill myself. They're like, whoa, what do you mean? Don't kill yourself. You have value. But to a Klingon, not being able to stand on your own 2 feet and fight basically means you're dead.
Oh, yeah.
But we as humans, we don't understand that. And then everyone's like almost begging him, don't kill yourself. But again, we're pushing human values onto a Klingon race.
It's funny because Diana Troy and Riker are like, no, but Picard's like, his life's over.
I guess Picard's like, if it's his decision, he can do it.
Yeah. In his society, it's over with. We can live with that disability. He can.
And Riker is looking at the captain like, he almost feels betrayed by Captain Picard, but Picard basically puts him in his place, saying, you cannot put your human feelings and emotions onto Worf and his people. You can't do that. And it's like, well, he's kind of true, but you don't want to see your friend kill himself over something that he can still live.
But it's even worse, though, because he can ask him to go kill him.
Yeah, it's like there's a ritual. He asked Riker, when this happens, you basically get this ceremonial knife and you just end my life. And he's like, I don't want to kill you.
Yeah, and then also, if you want to take other parallels, Worf tried to do that with his brother Kern, because when he betrayed Gowron the second time, his life is over with as a Klingon. So he asked his brother to go kill him, and he tried, but Dax knew what he was doing, and they stopped it.
Yeah.
So.
See, there's so much where you have that, you can fall on either side of this issue, and I don't think you're right or wrong. It all comes down to me, personally, I would say it's up to the parents. I don't like how the government came in and forced it. But again, what if you have
a split parent?
But that's that's I love sci-fi.
But the best part is he says, how is he going to deliver the present to Santa? And his partner, Clyde, didn't see it. Clyde's like, what are you talking about?
How do you know our daughter didn't do great things? What if she grows up and she helps Santa deliver presents and says Christmas? And he's like, what the heck are you talking about? Because it is an inspirational story. Everyone needs to go back and watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and be inspired to do great things.
That was funny. I loved it. That was great.
Basically, the basic premise is you take what was your weakness and you make it your strength. And that is a universal thing in all literature and TV shows. And this is just another thing to add to that shelf of great things.
But we also, Crimson Sin also said it was another parallel in that episode with Worf. He wanted him to do it, but then, Riker did his own research and realized it has to be his firstborn son. So he says, Alexander's going to have to do that. I ain't going to do it.
And his son was a boy.
Yeah, he's 89 years old. And Worf at that point saying no. See, but they got out of it a little bit because then the lady who had the experimental procedure making an artificial spinal cord. So at the end he did, and of course he lived.
And there's again, without getting too much into Star Trek, the other doctor's like, you just want to do this to run an experiment. You don't care if Worf lives or dies. And she's like, yeah, I really don't care if he dies or not. I still want to practice my theory. Yeah. So then you kind of have that thing like, you're using my friend, someone I care about, as like a test dummy. Yeah. And then the other doctor's like, see, it worked, haha, in your face. And it's almost like, I hate you.
Yeah, it worked, but he got lucky. But then next time, people might be so fortunate. How many people are going to die for your experiment? You can make a parallel there with the Nazis and what they did.
It's pushing medical science for it, so why do you care?
See, that wasn't necessarily in this Orville episode, but I'm just saying
but it made you think. Yeah. And this Orville episode makes you think about your own thoughts and your own beliefs and your own prejudices and your own... That's what sci-fi is supposed to make you think. And I'm so glad the Orville just literally knocked it out of the park on concept of making the viewer think about their own thoughts and feelings and emotions. It's just great.
It was amazing. I mean, that's when sci-fi's at its best. It makes you stand. And it's just like, and I'm looking at this, it's like, it's incredible. All this has come together. Yep. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm just impressed by the whole way this has been executed. I knew this was going to be good, but I didn't realize it'd be that good. I could not imagine, especially right out of the bat.
This seems like a season 2, episode 10 type of episode, not season 1, episode 3. No. When he must have had so much confidence in the show to push this type of episode that is literally polarizing this type of episode.
It's kind of like, I got this. You're just laying back my phone. It's like, but it was kind of funny because I went onto his Twitter and he was talking with some fans and asking questions. Well, in the episode when you were out there, how come we didn't get sick out of space? They go, we have deflector shields. That's why. Duh.
Yeah, people are trying to like nitpicky little things. It's like, come on, guys, they're not stupid. There's gonna be some things that you thought, well, how come the X, Y, and Z didn't happen? But there's plenty of that in Star Trek too.
Yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of that.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, again, great episode. I mean, we could literally this podcast can be 2 hours long if we really.
Yeah, I didn't even begun. I could talk way more aspects of like
parallels to Star Trek, parallels to sci-fi in general,
parallels to like societal problems, like how people think about different races and cultures, and how they integrate with your culture, and how there's going to be a clash of different beliefs. And some of those are so different in price, it even goes to the very young and vulnerable. Yeah. And what does that society look at their young, like, okay, why is it so wrong that she's a female? Then come out, now everything's fine. Well, what was the problem to begin with, Yeah. All those little interesting aspects of it.
I just love this episode just because of all the it brings so much conversation. Yeah. And we're not telling you to think like us. No. You watch the episode, come to your own conclusion, and leave a comment, and we'll talk about it. I'm sure this is an episode where we can have thousands of comments, and we have to literally agree to disagree because there's no one who's right. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you how I feel. And sometimes feelings can be wrong. Yeah. What can we say?
And I think, and I'm not, and again, at the same time, I did not like what happened.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it, but that is your society. I accept it.
Yeah, I tolerate it. Yeah. Then that's some things in life. Sometimes you may disagree with something, but the only thing you ever have to do, we don't have to accept it. We just have to tolerate it.
Exactly.
That's their people. I tolerate their decision. I just don't accept it. I thought it was wrong. Nope. But I'm not going to go out there and force my will upon them. They tried their tribunal. They tried to go through their system. That's all you can do, really.
And then you can't even use a bad argument saying, well, if Boris, if they'd have got to him sooner, he never asked for the ship. Well, what if his mate would have? His partner could have. So you wouldn't have convinced him. We wouldn't have convinced Clyde.
Because
him.
Because with Clyden, if he would have stayed a female, he never would have met Boris in the first place. Yeah. And he never would have had this child. See, there's so much to it. There's so much layers to where you can go with this because... man, that's tough stuff.
And then he's got to deal that, and then again, he didn't tell him because he figures if I tell you,
you're gonna reject
me. I'm gonna be an outcast in our society, and there's a stigma attached to that. So that's also a parallel. Even though he got the change, they know deep in their hearts, well, he's not really a man.
Because I can make the parallel of what if two people are together, and this is like in the 1940s, and her husband's. He's German, and then she had Jewish blood, and she hid that from her husband. Yeah. They get married, and he finds out later, and she thought, well, if you would have known my grandparents were Jewish, you wouldn't have dated me.
Even he would he's going to be so mad at her. Why did you not tell me? I wouldn't have cared.
But does that change the fact that you just don't love me anymore?
No.
So, see, there's so much that you can make these racial, parallels. You can make religious parallels. You can do so much. See, again, we're talking about it again. We're going to keep it going on forever. We're already at half an hour.
But I knew this is going to be a 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah, it just feels like every time I think I'm done talking about it, I'm not done talking about it.
There's so many different aspects you can go with.
But that's why it makes it beautiful. That's what makes it great.
I am so glad that I was so far so right about this series. I mean, even more so than I would expected it to be.
I came in cautiously optimistic. And now I've been blown away. So I'm full steam ahead. Give me more episodes.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know how they could top this episode. Just honestly,
when it comes to like raw human feelings and emotions, I think this might be because there's going to be episodes with like action and more explosions, space battles that are good in different ways. Yeah. This is good in a very human way.
Yeah, exactly. And also. He also said, McFarlane, early on, he goes, we're going to do different stories for each crewman. So I wonder what the other stories are going to be.
Yeah.
About the individual crewmen.
Like I said, this was a Bortus showcase episode. Yeah. And then we had, Catan had her showcase episode. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing more team stuff. In the previews, you see like this big ship. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, definitely different aspects and different things they're going to explore in sci-fi.
Wow.
Well, but another thing I want to bring up, too, is that even when they were destroying a meteor that was about to hit a planet, they were even talking about it. Yeah. Does everyone know about it? Yeah, everyone knew about it.
Yeah, because Captain Mercer's kind of like whispering it, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, we all know about it. It's like, everyone knows? Like, oh jeez.
Well, it's a ship. It's going to be hard to keep a secret like that. But.
And then, again, that's why it's just kind of funny for Isaac, because he's a robot. He's like, why do you care what his people do?
Yeah, they're so quick cut about it, don't even care.
He's so removed from that conversation. He wasn't even really in this episode.
No, he didn't care.
It's kind of cool because, human emotions are very irrational.
Yeah.
But again, you can't always do, this is the science thing to do. You're a human being with feelings, and your feelings and your heart matter. Oh, it's just so good. It's just so great. I love it. I keep saying that. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I really
But it doesn't seem old, though, because it seems so refreshing to talk about this. Because there's so much, I won't say garbage on TV, but especially in sci-fi, it's just dark and gritty to be dark and gritty. And
there's a lot of good action, and I think, but it's not much stuff to make you think.
Yeah.
The only thing that tends to happen in sci-fi nowadays is what you're thinking is wrong and this is the right way. That they didn't do that here.
No, not at all.
They kind of gave everyone their rights and wrongs. Everyone's a little bit right. Everyone's a little bit wrong.
It was almost equal. You could almost say it was a 50-50 how they were saying on both sides of the issue on it.
Yeah, I applaud them for taking that approach because Seth MacFarlane is by no means like a right wing or a conservative person.
Or even the middle.
He's pretty left, 4 steps more to the left. But he didn't let that influence the story of his show.
That's what writers used to do overall, but they don't do it anymore.
No, I have my politics, and I'm going to let you know that you have wrongthink. You're guilty of wrongthink.
Yep, exactly. And it's not even done in a clever way. It's just right in your face, and it just ruins the show.
And I'll rewrite this episode in the vein of Star Trek Discovery, the way it's setting up. They capture the baby, they take it away from the evil Moclan Empire, and she grows up on Earth as a girl because they have to protect him from the evil people.
Yeah,
that's how that episode.
But you never once got the feeling that was going to happen.
No.
But it's funny, even Crimson Sin, though, even point, I go, bet you she's going to be turned into a boy.
I thought when they were doing, they were going to, the discussions.
Yeah.
So, the tribunal goes and they talk about it after hearing both cases. I'm like, God, I just know it. Because these people are too ingrained. Again, I had the feeling of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. They go back to talk about it, and they came with a guilty conviction. When no way was this guy guilty.
No, not even close.
But it's same kind of thing here. After all that, they still chose their old ways. That's a society. You do what you can.
Yeah, what can you do? You can only do so much. And I also thought it was also interesting when you look at it as how they found this lady and she was living all by herself, but she was perfectly okay. She was
She
alone.
says, I
She was alone.
have a happy life.
Yeah, and she was completely alone. I mean, there was nothing out there for her. It was like a friggin' mountain, a cave, and like a house.
He had a couple of torches on the wall.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
She's the cave lady. That's how she was living. But it's just kind of cool because I guarantee you, none of those men in that planet has ever seen an adult female.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to applaud too, and I know it's not a big thing because she is older, is that they didn't make her look sexy. I'm so glad she just looked like a female. There was no kind of...
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be because they always seem to do that with
She had a feminine form, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the classic sci-fi where if the men are ugly, that just means the women are super sexy.
Yeah, it wasn't Orion slave girl.
Yeah.
So that way, it wasn't that.
It was a good choice
Yeah.
of showing you that she did those writings and everything. So it made them think, like the way the Orville made the audience think. Maybe the characters in the show, maybe the Mocklin race has to think a little bit.
See, it's so funny that how like they even like consider the feelings of this imaginary race made in the show. That tells you care. That just tells you care.
That's good writing, and you care about the world and how everything fits together.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, it's not really negative, but I thought was a little weak was I thought they had a joke. I know it's not a porn about Monopoly. I thought that was kind of...
Yeah, they're always throwing little things like that. Like, oh, we're on the ship. You can play board games. Yeah, we got Scrabble.
No, he can be the thimble. Yeah, I think this guy's about Monopoly. He's not going to play that.
They didn't take into account that the Monopoly has new pieces now. See, what future is this? But of course, that was more of a chuckle joke.
Yeah, it was a chuckle.
It's a fun little like, okay, there's still comedy in the show, whatever.
Yeah.
But I overall, the drama of this episode was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to argue that it doesn't have good drama, I don't know. Maybe it didn't click with you, but it really did.
I don't see how you cannot at least like this episode.
Especially if you're a fan of Next Generation, because this is a very Next Generation-esque episode.
Yes.
How many times has Picard...
Not first season Next Generation.
No, see, that's funny. Episode 3, Season 1 of Next Generation was nothing like this.
No.
But you can get the feeling that, some of our favorite episodes are like when they go down there and something happens and then, we'll have Data be the moderator because he's a robot and he will analyze things and he'd be completely, partial because he's an android. He doesn't have emotions. So he'll just go strictly on facts and figures. And you get a lot of that kind of like arguing two sides of one coin.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And also, like, you want to make the parallel was when Mark met that gentleman's race with the Janai. That was kind of remind me on this level of kind of writing.
Yeah, where he fell in love with her, but they're like, I'm going to go through this thing that's going to basically make them... docile.
Yeah, we see that's why they never admit they have feelings to a particular gender. Yeah. But she had feelings to being a female. And at the end, they go, well, Riker loved her and he was going to take her away from her. Yeah, he was going to But they fixed her the day before and they reprogrammed her to
Yeah, and then when she sees him again, she's like, oh, hello. And she's like docile. And he's like, you stole an experience from her.
But that's their culture.
But that's their culture. And again, you get heartbreaks Riker there, but you're human. You can't...
Sometimes the best sci-fi tradition, it doesn't work out in the end the way you want it to. But that's what makes it even better.
That's what makes sci-fi awesome. And this episode about a girl is up there with those great sci-fi episodes.
And I'll say right now, this is probably the hardest genre for me to get on the bad one early is sci-fi because it's so hard to do it good. It just is. It's not like fantasy. It's not like, other genres.
Like a cop drama, or superhero even.
Genre. Yeah. It's a little bit easier to do. This is way harder to do.
Especially when you have such...
Especially when you're doing a Star Trek type of show.
Yeah, you have such the pillars of sci-fi. You have Star Wars and Star Trek. And
it's got to be good.
Yeah, you got to be able to stand up against those great things. And it does. And it has. The last 3 episodes it has.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No offense to Drama or Babylon 5 fans. No. Yeah, not to be mean or anything. They tried.
It has its own thing, and I can understand. Or even something like Stargate. And I like this better. I just do.
Yeah, I do too.
Man, we can't wait to hear all your comments because this
my goodness.
And again, we ask to be civil. We've been getting some comments where people are cussing a lot and cussing people out. Try not to do that. I do not want to delete anyone's comments because I think it's kind of wrong to say, you're not allowed to speak your mind. But at least try to be a little bit, I want to say formal about it.
Yeah, please.
Don't
because we don't cuss.
Yeah.
We don't do it.
I do my very best not to cuss.
Yeah.
Because this is a YouTube show and we want everyone to be able to see it. Because I also, just like the Orville, I want everyone to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So go ahead, discuss away. We're right, we're wrong. You hate us, you love us. Let us know. We read every single comment.
Oh yeah, we do.
Even certain comments that makes me feel like they didn't actually watch the video, but we love every single one.
You'll find out in a few days.
Yeah, we'll cover that up. But I'm good.
Oh yeah, I could go.
Actually, technically, we're not good, but we're gotta end it sometime.
I can go another 10 minutes on this 20 easy. But I'll also remind you, we'll talk about Star Trek. We're going to watch it because the first episode is on regular TV, so we'll watch it.
And if it really surprises us, we will let you know. Even though I've been getting comments of, you just hate Star Trek, you're just a hater. No, we'll give it a chance.
Hopefully, if just by realizing the last few podcasts that they've been listening or keeping up, we've talked about Star Trek. We talked about individual episodes. You should know we have a familiarity. We know Star Trek.
Yeah, so come on, give us a break, guys, a little bit.
Exactly.
And we will give you our honest opinion on everything. Yeah. Just like we do on the Orville. We give you our honest opinions and our feelings and our thoughts, and we'll continue to do so.
Yep, and I will never lie to you to say that I know something when I don't. Like, when we brought up something else, for example, say Hellboy, I don't know Hellboy that well.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a pretend fan.
We'll talk about if it's a news story, and we'll put it up there and see if that's interesting to you guys, but in the end, I really don't care. But I'll talk about it. If it's something I really don't even care about, I won't even bring it up. But.
Yeah, it's just whatever. But we love sci-fi, and if you love sci-fi, give this show a chance, especially this third episode. You should.
I mean, my goodness.
You actually don't even need to have any prior knowledge of the first 2 episodes to enjoy this episode.
Oh, no.
It's great.
I'll recommend it to anyone. I can't recommend it enough for anyone to see this episode in particular. It's so good. And if you don't feel it at all on an emotional level, then I don't know what to say.
We come from a big family, and that whole family unit and parents making decisions for children and children, it's good. I just love it. It's just great.
Oh, it's awesome.
So we're probably going to close this out just shy of 42, 43 minutes. So
I figured as much.
Yeah. I've been your host, Crimson Sin.
I'm Anthony, PCA.
Thanks for watching.
See you later. Bye.